Good morning. This is the issue now with gathering stuff together to do a drawing or a picture after doing my yoga and meditation, because that's been my routine, my yoga and meditation in the morning, just a few minutes, out in the grass actually usually. And I thought now I'll stack the old habit on top of doing a drawing again, because I used to do that for a while. I used to do a yoga meditation drawing, and but you know what happens to me? As soon as I start gathering stuff together to make it, that's when the kind of impetus strikes me to do it. Like if I was to leave that stuff alone now, I don't know, I probably would be inspired after as well, but I just think it's good to kind of act on inspiration when it arises. So as I was gathering the stuff together, I started getting kind of excited, you know. My plan is to do a drawing of this sunflower. I'll just show it to you. It was just going to be a pencil drawing. I found a pencil, and then I thought, look, I'll put a bit of colour down. This is what happens. This is exactly what happens, and I kind of embrace it really. I thought, look, I'll get a colour. I'll get just some yellow, and then I thought, why don't I use the ink instead of the pencil, just to get it more clear for the camera. And then I started looking around, you know, as I was looking in the collage bag, I found the bit of yellowish stuff, and then I was looking for paint, and anyway, I started to get interested, and now I'm interested, so I'm going to just see what happens. I've got a few things here. You can see it as I go. I'll tell you what they are. But you won't see me anymore now. I'm going to face you down to see the sunflower and the paper I'm painting or drawing it on, or whatever I'm going to do with it. So I had originally thought that's not a great colour now. I was going to put down some Payne's Grey for the centre of the sunflower, and then put down that as a surround. But it doesn't read it. It's more lemony yellow, and I think this is a better colour. And I kind of like that it's got a pattern on it already too, a little bit. So what I'm going to do is fold it and tear the centre. It's not a complete circle or anything, but I suppose it'll give me a starting point. As I look at it now, it's kind of heart-shaped, the centre. And I've got my PVA glue here, so I'm going to stick it down with the PVA glue. I've made it very circular there now. The thing is, I can always put bits over it after, once I put the centre down. Okay, but I do need to put down some colour first. I think that'd be the simplest thing to do, is to maybe put down a dark centre. Which, Payne's Grey, it's not exactly the colour. It would be better maybe being burnt sienna or something like that. But I should have brought in some kitchen paper just for a second. I get it. Okay, and actually I've got oil pastels there. They might be a burnt sienna that I can use in there. I'm just going to lift off some of the paint so that it dries a bit faster, and also so that it has a bit of a texture. It kind of appeals to me. And I seem to be making it bigger too, so that's no harm. I'll just check in here and see what colours I've got, because if I've got something that reads a bit as a warm brown, I kind of like that though. Let's see if I try it here, and I'll just see what it looks like with the colour over it. Yeah, it's alright too. Let's just try it, for goodness sake. It's not the end of the world. It kind of gives it a bit of a texture as well. Yeah, it's okay. There's a brighter one too, but I don't know if I want it brighter. I've done it now. Okay, what's this? It's kind of similar. Okay, and I am actually going to go back and put some more. I'm just going to fill in the gaps with the Payne's Grey again. Yeah, I love the things that acrylic does on this paper. The textures you can get from it. Kind of exciting. Okay, so now I'll put down some glue to represent where the petals might be located. And of course I might stick on a leaf as well there. Yeah, sure, I want to do that now that I've got glue, and it looks a good shape. I just found that in the collage bag. It's maybe not precisely the colour, but it's a good shape, and it is green. 2 out of 3 ain't bad, as they say. Let's stick that down for the other side. It's a better colour. I'm just going to use the glue I put out here. I hope you can hear alright. I know I always say I will definitely have my mic the next day, and then I don't. And it's to do with catching inspiration as well. I mean, I actually even know where it is. I can see it. It's terrible, isn't it? But I hope you can hear me now, because I'm kind of not being as quiet as I think I have been previously. And I don't know, it's a bit late for an introduction, but my name is Anya Devine, and I've got a fair few videos of varying sanity, sometimes logic, and sometimes I feel quite pleased with myself when I watch a video back. I think, oh, that was kind of good fun. And other times I think maybe I'm losing the plot a little bit, but sure, don't we all? Do we? Okay. Now you see how I made that small to begin with. I think I'm going to make the hole a bit bigger because the sunflower has got bigger. And we also have this greenery now that we've got the 2 leaves. There's also, I'm just adjusting them according to where they are. Oh yes, and I had torn out some red as well in case I was going to do the pot. I might just put a little nod. Didn't mean to tear that. I might just put a nod to the pot in as well. I don't know. Yeah, I will, sure, for goodness sake. I've got orange and red pastels to change the shape of it if I need to. Did you hear that? Now I said I've got orange and red oil pastels to change the shape of this if I need to. Alright, it's quite thin. I think it's wrapping paper or something. And just a note about collages and things and how to make them more durable. There's a varnish you can get called, I'm going to forget, I keep forgetting the name of it. It's from Golden, and it's a matte acrylic, some sort of thing for sealing. I forget what it's called now. It's not really called, I don't think it's called a varnish. Something paste, is it? Oh, I don't know. It's not moulding paste. Anyway, you can put a layer of it down and it seals whatever's underneath. What am I going to do now? I'm going to see about putting, with my eyes half closed, actually I'm going to find something to describe those leaves on the left side. They're quite dark over there, you see. And if I put the leaves down before the leaves before the petals, I feel like an appropriate thing to do, because the petals, of course, are overlapping. They're overlapping the leaves behind. Just trying to find a colour that feels true enough. It's interesting with my eyesight having it's diminished quite a bit recently, my eyesight for up close stuff. This is just an oil pastel, but it's interesting how I can't really. It's kind of a greenish grey oil pastel I'm using here, and it's melting, it's merging into the surface. These are quite good oil pastels actually. This is more green now. It's not the same one that I've just pressed into the paper. At least I don't think it is. What was I saying? Since my eyesight is gone, it's not gone fully. My God, if it went fully, I'm not even going to pretend that might happen. But what was I going to say? I'm just noticing like everything is a little bit blurry here now. My selecting of the. It's interesting that I can't actually clearly see the colours in the oil pastel box to select them. It's kind of a new thing for me to have that restriction on me. And maybe it's not, I'm not going to say I welcome it fully, but I suppose it's here now. I may as well embrace something of it. And I suppose it does make me discerning or less kind of specific, and that keeps me moving a bit more quickly, I reckon. So it's not all bad. Okay, so some indication of the leaves around it. And now let's see what they do with this. I think I'll just have her and check out. I mean, this is actually going to be more a drawing than anything else with the stick dipped into the ink. But it's becoming different, isn't it? It's becoming a bit of a mixed media. A complete mixed media, isn't it? Not a bit of, but completely mixed media. And the drawing will come in handy. It will come in handy because I'm doing things that are quite, I think the word is arbitrary, is it? Where I'm just placing things down. I am looking and keenly aware of what it is that I'm trying to explain or to get the feeling of. And along with looking, I'm also I'll be observing stuff like, let me see now. working. What am I doing? Yeah, I suppose I'm aware that there's going to be something else coming in, and I want to let some explaining left to do for that. I don't want to have answered all the questions about it, like, and sorted everything out. Forgetting to have close my eyes now. Okay, so there's that, and maybe just one last bit of yellow, because I see there's a yellow petal sticking down there. Petal. That's what my aunt used to call me sometimes. For a joke. Okay. Do you know, I lost my phone, not this Tuesday, but last Tuesday, so it's been 12 days. And I'm kind of ignoring the fact that I've lost it. It's a bit weird. I think part of me, you know what I want to say, has experienced some delight at losing my phone. Right, what am I going to do now? I kind of fancy this orange. And I'm tearing up some of the collage as I put the orange down. I think there's some over there too. I'm sure I can do my yoga and meditation after this, can't I? Or I might feel already chilled enough. No, I think it's good still to stretch the old body. The young body. Right, that leaf now is turning in. And I think I'll make it turn in, sure, might as well, when I've got something there that'll kind of work. I don't know, do we need it to turn in? I think I like it better that way. I'll leave it alone. Okay, now what's going to happen next? I think, having decided originally I was going to use the ink in the stick, I'm going to use the ink in the stick. Just to clarify. To continue finding out what's happening in this particular flower, in this particular morning light here in Scotland. The drama. I went along to Kay Tempest last night. Poet and rapper, kind of. I don't know exactly how to describe him, but it was a powerful evening. Potent, profound, all the P's, poignant. Kind of prayerful, actually, if we're going for all the P's. Surprisingly, because it's the kind of music, like at the back, the beat, there's a really strong bass. And I thought, my God, this is the kind of thing I'd say to Lily, can you turn that off? If she was putting it on in the car. And actually, it just went through my spine. It was amazing. And there's strobe lighting and everything, all the stuff that I would like really resist normally. I felt really added to her words, and well, their words. She identifies as they, them. Sorry. Yeah, but it was all going to add into the atmosphere, and I guess it was more than an atmosphere as well, though. It was something like palpable love, really. It was incredible. The whole thing. There's tears streaming down my face, and inexplicably, I kind of thought, I couldn't understand exactly, but my body understood something of the felt sense of it and where the words came from. It sounds like they came from, struggle, challenge, and grief and beauty, all the stuff that we humans tremble in the face of, something like that. But it was glorious. Really glad that I went along. Thanks to my friend Morna for reminding me of it. And the line is "A Curve" is the name of the album. Kay Tempest. Right. Now, is this reading as a sunflower? A bit, isn't it? That's a bit of a blank in the middle there now. So then after that I went to 10 to 10 Delhi, and then the 10 to 10 Delhi, if you've not been in Edinburgh, is something to experience. It's an incredible Indian food restaurant. It's absolutely this kind of gorgeous food. And I was really hungry. I'd eaten no meal all day. I had cake and coffee. That was it. And hours in a coffee shop reading, which was actually delicious. Cake as well. But I was ready for food. And so I went to the 10 to 10 Delhi. And it's like walking into one of the, the hugga thing that is it the Swedish or the Danish have a hugga thing where you can go and recuperate kind of thing, like soft. Everything was soft and beautiful and colourful, and even the ceiling had like padding and colourful drapes on it. And so straight away, it's lovely. And this is 10:30. It's called 10 to 10 Delhi because it's open from 10 until 10. But actually I went in at 10:30. And I've seen people sitting, like there's still people sitting there just having ordered, so I thought maybe for the festival he's open longer. When I spoke to the guy, he said, yeah, we're open. And then afterwards he sat down beside me, I said, so when do you close? And he said, well, we close at 10. He said, but I don't like turning people away if they're hungry and they come in. And another guy came in during the time that I was there, and I'm not sure, but I don't think this guy who owns the shop had ever seen him before, had ever met him before, but a friend of his had brought him in, and it sounded like he had nowhere to stay for the night and no food, and it was amazing. The guy just brought him out a meal straight away, like no questions asked or anything. He was just really really kind, but like in a very understated way. He just brought him out this delicious, and their food is so good, like vegetarian curry. I think he had with chickpeas and stuff. And the guy was sitting there, and it transpired later that he had been kind of encouraged to go to Edinburgh by some friends who said he'd meet someone here or something, and then he didn't meet anybody. They didn't arrange to meet him, and he slept in the gardens the night before. And so the guy who owns the shop said, you can stay in my house tonight. And that was it. There was no more conversation, and he didn't make a big fuss of it or anything. It was just such a lovely thing. And then another girl came in who had quite a bit to drink, I think, and she said, are you still open? And this was like 11 o'clock by now, and he said, no, we close at 10. And she said, oh. And then he said, is it for takeaway? And she said, yeah. So he said, okay. So she got her takeaway, and then she went out, or she sat down, and she said, is it okay if I sit here until my boss comes? It's not coming for another 20 minutes. And he said, yeah, that's okay. Do you want a plate? She didn't actually get a plate, but it was basically, he was really not able to say no. In fact, I think he would have been well able to say no, but he chose not to. It was really nice. And I went out and checked my bus times, and my bus wasn't coming for 20 minutes either. It was a different bus. But I went back in and sat down and had a baklava while I was waiting. And there was another, the guy who was going to be staying overnight with him was still there as well. And actually a third guy came in, and he was also given some free food. But yeah, so it was all in all a heartening evening, and felt very just my faith in human nature restored, I guess. And I didn't have a particular thing that made me lose my faith, but it was just really inspiring to have an evening where it was fully restored like that. And after the K Tempest gig, like I found a position sitting up because it was standing room only when I went to buy my tickets, and I was kind of thinking, oh God, I'm not going to be able to stand for like an hour and a half. But what I did was I found that there was a bar that wasn't being used, and so there was two teenage girls, I would say, sitting up in it, and I asked them if they would move over, and I sat down beside them for the full concert, and it was so good. I had a direct view of Kay on the stage, and I was able to kind of dance a wee bit as well. It was like sitting cross-legged for a while, but it was so good to be able to fully absorb the words just straight to me, not over the heads of the crowd or through people recording on their phones and all that. And what an experience to be live in the presence of that. I feel like she's got that kind of famous energy or something. There's something quite very visceral and raw about them. Sorry, I was they, I said she again, didn't I? It's a tricky one, isn't it, sometimes to negotiate. But yeah, I feel very drawn to respect whatever the choice is there. Anyway, so yeah, I just sat down and ended up kind of boogieing along a little bit myself, but also, as I said, kind of sitting just in tears as well a lot of the time of recognizing something, human condition stuff. One of the songs, if you could call it a song, I don't know what you call it really, but it is to music. It's called Grace, and you can see them all on YouTube, but I would recommend that you look up Grace. It's a cool one. And what drew me to go along. Right, I'm just filling in with oil pastel now, little bits of this is yellow ochre, to kind of give a little bit of, oh, I had the word in my head and it's gone now. Texture, is it substance? Layering, I don't know. I suppose it's texture, yeah. It's a bit like hair, you know. Hairdresser just giving a bit of texture. Right. I am going to put a couple of petals across the center again. I feel like I want to create the shape that I'm seeing in the center. And it seems to me that that's characterful of this particular sunflower. So I'm just picking up spare glue that I see around the place rather than lift up that massive tub every time I need some. And this is thin paper that's been painted by myself. At some point I painted this paper, and it's good now that it's coming in handy. I am going to put out some more glue though, because I quite like this process of dipping the petals into the glue and sticking them on. It's quite a fun thing to do, to bridge that gap. Oh, I went to another thing in the festival the other day, my goodness. The book festival this time. And I've actually booked, yesterday I felt kind of spontaneously inspired to, because I had such a positive experience at this particular workshop I went to, the book festival, I thought I want more of that. And, you know, more in the variety way, like not the same guy, because although I did go along to his workshop that evening, having been to the one in the morning. But I just want the experience of sitting amongst other people in creative atmosphere where we've got that kind of, there's something in our togetherness, isn't there, around creativity that's so very home. And I suppose I feel it here. I feel it here too. It's quite a soothing thing. Yeah. And the book festival this year is actually on the grounds of the Art College in Edinburgh. And I want to go to the Art College shop and get myself some more inks and things, so I thought it'll hit the two birds with the one stone, which I'm desperate for doing. And you know, I'm actually, as I say it now, it's something I'm not encouraging in myself. Because hitting two birds with the one stone, even the phrase is awful, isn't it? But because I think multitasking is seriously overrated, isn't it? How is that a superhuman thing now? Because it means that you're no longer really present if you're involved in two things. I think someone said enlightenment is doing one thing at a time, or maybe it wasn't enlightenment, but peace maybe is the act of doing one thing at a time. Sorry, I was trying to cover it and taking a shortcut using blue instead of looking for a darker colour that would work there. I found black, that'll do. Because I lifted off some of the yellow or something, did I? So I did something there that I needed to cover anyway. What am I doing now? So the Art College shop is there, and I'm going to go in and get myself some materials. And I am going to see Liz Lockhead, 50 Years a Poet, and I'm going to see Colm Tóibín talking about The Magician, his latest book, I think. Colm Tóibín was painted by Joy Scone Cairns, who's a good friend of his, and she's a beautiful Edinburgh artist. And her painting of Colm Tóibín was purchased by the National Gallery in Ireland. Maybe it was a drawing. I think at the same time as my painting of Mo Mowlam was purchased by the National Gallery. I thought it'd be a lovely thing for us both to connect over that sometime, maybe even in Ireland. I wondered about us going over and drawing a female, like they're looking really, and rightly so I think, to represent more females in the paintings and in the artists. And the artists that are painting. What am I doing? I'm making it a bit too perfectly kind of. I'm getting annoyed with that last piece somehow. I'm just going to take that off. Yeah, that's alright now. And I might stick it on somewhere else, will I? Yeah, it's kind of going higher up than I've got it. Seems to be more of that kind of trajectory to the sunflower. And down there, if I had a nice dark, I could use the dark blue instead of a dark green. I don't really have a dark green that's dull. I need it to be kind of a dull colour to represent the leaves. I don't know if you'd call them leaves, but they're green petals, I suppose, on this side where they're showing off the sunflowers. Okay, slightly overdone. Or maybe it's just on the cusp of being slightly overdone. Here, let me clench the deal. What am I saying? I actually noticed as I stopped there something that I could do to maybe draw out, you know, to let it breathe, make it a little bit more spacious. And I think that might be to illustrate the leaf that's extending out this way with the ink a little bit. Just to explain it a bit. The leaves of the sunflower are so kind of papery and lovely, aren't they? The way that they gesture as they fall. If there's a tumbling bundle of them in a vase, I think there's something really poignant about how the papery leaves kind of cascade. Almost like they're dying in place of the flowers. They're going to die first or something. To let the flowers have a last flare of glory. How about that for a loaded story? And then it was interesting too last night getting pretty much the last bus home before the night buses. That was interesting. I could see how comedians would enjoy getting their characters from, you know, late night Edinburgh if they were looking to kind of discover how a drunk person behaves, because there was a fair few of them to draw on last night of varying ages and characters, genders, all the rest of it. There's a couple of ladies who were at the bus stop, and oh my god, they were really vociferous, like to each other. They were really talkative and absolutely, you know, fully in it together. Like, yeah, this is it was just, there was huge camaraderie. But I wasn't sure if they were actually listening to each other, but they were fully, they were, you know, fully on board anyway. The gestures and everything. I don't know, it's hard to explain. I'm not an actor, obviously, but I thought it would have been really great food for anyone who was. So, gosh, I feel like I'm kind of left wanting here. It's been such a long time. I don't want to stop, and the picture, I think, is demanding that I do stop maybe 10 minutes ago. Let me just see about this. Now that I've drawn in more with the leaf, I feel like it might be quite a good thing to bring in some more green colour. So I peeled the back off the collage paper so that it was a lot thinner, and flattened it on there. What do you reckon? I think I'm done. Just wash my hands now, bit of yoga, take the dog out, And that's the story. I've got a few things planned for today. I'm not positive I'm going to do all of the things that I've planned, but we'll see. I'm really enjoying not doing too much when I can. I don't really like the look of that on there. The flower looks a bit ridiculous, doesn't it? It looks better slightly angled. There's something about the petals that are a bit weird to me. And I guess I want to do something to address that. I think it might have something to do with this leaf that's here being occupied. For it to be filled in a bit more will kind of take the tension away from the flower a bit. Did I say tension? I meant attention. Attention to. What do you think? Does that feel a bit more? Yeah, I think that opens it up a bit more. There's some strange thing going on with the sunflower itself. Maybe it just needs something to describe where the petals meet, rather than being a complete effulgence of yellow. Yeah, it feels a bit better to me to be doing some kind of explaining at this section. And maybe in a few other spots as well. Like down here to show the overlapping petals as they come towards us, and as they extend towards the light of the window. Then I don't have too much black here, but just where the petals overlap one another and where they nearly spilled it, and where they stop and the green starts over here. Because when I held it up, I thought it all looks a bit like kind of twee, like it was just circles of yellow petals that were a little bit nondescript, or too symmetrical maybe as well, and not explained enough that they clearly read as the overlapping papery things that they are. I'm humming this now because I saw the word sunshine yesterday, and I think I'm humming Sunshine on Leith, although to be honest I'm not even sure. I think it is a Proclaimer song anyway. I might be wrong even there. Imagine I might be wrong. Right, let's see. Decided to fill that in rightly or wrongly, because I think there's something different happening there. And I'm also going to see on Tuesday a poet discussing the work of John Donne. As I say, it was a bit of a last minute now, because I was not so familiar with John Donne actually. In fact, I think I was thinking of Dylan, is it? Dylan Thomas. You know, the force that through the green fuse drives the flower. Yeah, I thought it was him first. I've only just realised that now, so that's why I booked it. But I think, he's got a poem called The Flea, which sounded kind of inspiring. And I'm sure it'll be exciting to hear another writer discuss one of their writers that they enjoy. Oh, the drop spilled there. It's okay. I was bringing over a drop to try and explain some of these greenish petally things by way of capturing a bit more of the character of this one. So I suppose the thing with me now, right, is that I could stop after 5 minutes and it would read as something that's kind of alright. Like, it might sometimes be exactly what's needed. Or I can keep going. There's 3 things that could happen. I could keep going and be a bit disappointed and stop and leave it. Disappointed that I've painted the life out of it or something. Or that I'm just not getting it. It rarely happens that I would stop and leave it though. Maybe that's how I end up painting the life out of things. Anyway, the third thing is continuing to try and find it and actually finding it. So, let's see. That's what keeps me moving with the fine tuning is the and I feel it curious still. It almost doesn't matter how it turns out, because I'm enjoying the curiosity of what's happening there. Will that make it read as it more? Will observing this bit and trying to explain that somehow make it read more as the sunflower I'm looking at, and if not, why not? And it's all learning, isn't it? It's not that I'm kind of making notes or anything, but I'm sure by osmosis I was going to say I'll not make the same mistakes again. I've got this thing in my fridge, Samuel Beckett quote. My friend, I can't think of your name now, sorry. Crescendo, but no. Oh, she made these beautiful postcards and sent me one. And it's a quote by Samuel Beckett called, and look, I'll just get it. Yeah, it's Pat Coakley. Sorry, Pat. And she made this from a Samuel Beckett quote. Ever tried, ever fail. No matter. Try again, fail better. I love the radical nature of that, the like rebelliousness. Fail again, like the command to fail again. I love that. There's nothing wrong with failing at all. Like, in fact, it's to be celebrated almost. And I love that because it's only recently kind of fallen on my ears somehow, that idea that to make a so-called wrong move and actually celebrate it is a very satisfying place to be, because this, you're free then, aren't you? Actually, that was I was going to tell you about that other workshop I went to at the book festival, and it was about freedom, and it was about it was presented by Andy West, who's one of the only male members of his family that didn't end up in prison. And he is in prison. He goes in as a philosopher teaching prisoners, and he's got a book called, I think it's called Inside Out, which I'm going to buy because I loved his way of presenting this. It was called Freedom, the talk. I think Freedom. I don't know. I think it was just Freedom, yeah. And that was the basic theme. All right, I'm going to make that red go further over because that edge is annoying, That was the theme. And of course, if you know me at all, I had my word for the year. Last year was freedom, and I kind of carried it on to this year. Although in the last week I've decided to change it to gentleness, or at least freedom through gentleness. Freedom through gentle means. But anyway, at the time my word was still freedom, and I went along. I went along to this workshop. There was about 12 of us, I think. It was full to capacity, and we were overlooking this. It was Castle View. It was Castle View Theatre that he was in, and we had an amazing connection. The crowd of us over a couple of hours, or maybe it was only 1 hour, and it was fascinating and thought-provoking, I suppose, and inspiring, just to kind of have that conversation around what each of us considers freedom. And he spoke about the Stoic, the different characters he came across in prison. The Stoic who kind of had a regime all his own and controlled everything on his own terms before he could be controlled by the screws, so they called them, staff in the prison. And then there was the rebel who deliberately went against every single thing that he was asked to do, and no matter what the punishment. And then there was I don't know what the third one. Oh, the happy prisoner. The woman who, in the women's prison, he met women who were pleased to have a bit of time out from their lives, and the oppressiveness they felt from maybe in the relationships they were in, or in society at large, and all the jobs that they had to do and all the people relying on them, and suddenly they had me time. I know it sounds dreadful, but I think there were times in my life when I might have craved what I thought would be me time, no matter where. Anyway, that's not. I love my family and my life and everything, but it was just interesting to kind of smile about that one. And then the last one was the radical. I don't think they were in jail. Maybe there weren't characters in jail, but just people in general. The characters that we have, and it was just exploring all of those things. And is the rebel free because he's going against everything his jailers kind of want him to do? Is the Stoic free? Even although he's controlling everything he does, he's not being controlled by somebody else, he's controlling himself. And is the happy prisoner free? Well, free from, I suppose she was free from, but not really free. So we kind of figured out, and even the radical in the end, we kind of recognized that actually they all had their own kind of, you know, there was elements of freedom there, but there was also elements of being trapped still. And it's kind of a paradox, I suppose, of being a human being, and that actually we are all capable of being all of those things. I know, like, this would be kind of slightly like the Stoic for me, getting up, doing my yoga meditation, although I didn't. You know, having some form of ritual that allows me to move into the day with a feeling of accomplishment, maybe, or something. I don't know. And that to me is a kind of a freedom. But I can also be very rebellious. I think that would be a very strong trait. And I think the rebel is really craving freedom more than any other. That would be a big value for the rebel, I'd say. And then I feel radical sometimes in my choices. And happy prisoner, the one who was having a bit of me time, I think I'm prone to do that quite a bit too. Right, I'm going to stop being so faceless here. And I'm not sure if let's see, what do you think of that? It's a bit nuts, isn't it? It's a bit like a bad hair day for a sunflower. I've got some glorious sunflowers upstairs by my bed, actually, that have they're flowering, you know, they're properly open. But I don't think this one is ever going to open. And she's perpetually, what's the word? Oh, I want to say embalmed, or, you know, frozen in time now as this. That's not what I wanted. They weren't the words, but anyway. She's forever, you know, in her bad hair day picture now. Remembered as such, but also fun and playful. Kind of playful, isn't it? A bit of liveliness to it. And here she is in real life. I want to say thank you very much to this lovely sunflower for offering yourself so completely. Right, enough of that. See you tomorrow. Bye.